DJ Saul, Chief Marketing Officer at iStrategyLabs. This is
I'm Spinnakr, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Contactually.
So our regular host, Peter Corbett at Corbett 3000 is, I think, somewhere in between Australia and Singapore right now. So you're stuck with us. So, quick introduction. We typically ask this question: how many of you have never been to a DC Tech Meetup before? This is your first one, first time. That's pretty much what we get every single time. Just simultaneously awesome and also terrifying that we can't hold an audience. But this is lucky number 26. We now have over 8,200 people somehow thinking that this is a good idea and subscribing to these things. And this one in particular, as you may or may not have read the description, is a little bit different. So as opposed to the maybe more standard startup and product demo and pitch, this one is a little bit more geared toward design and dev magic. You know, we call it text code and creative. So a little bit less of the entrepreneurial types trying to sell you things, and a little bit more of the actual talented people who are actually designing and developing things. So I'm really excited about this one in particular.
I am too, and one thing we should point out is that the DC Tech Meetup used to be something that we'd host every Tuesday, or the first Tuesday of every month. We've actually switched it up now. We decided that people are a little bit too busy these days, so instead we run it every 2 months now. So our next meetup is coming up March 20th, right here, and following that May 15th. And I promise May 15th it'll be a lot warmer than it is here.
All right, so quick run of show here. So we have 10 awesome demos to get through, so we're gonna pretty much jump right into it. We're gonna do a quick community news with our friend Michael Mayernick. We're gonna have Martha up on stage from MLK right after that, doing a quick talk. And we're gonna get straight into the demos. We're gonna do 5. We're gonna bring everybody back up for a quick Q&A. Then we're gonna do the second group, and then another Q&A, and then just a couple quick things to wrap up, and we're done. We'll have a couple quick announcements at the end, and then what bar we're all going to go to hang out. And then Spee and I, who both actually went to the same summer camp in Southern California when we were like 6 years old and just found that out a couple years ago, we thought we'd try something maybe summer camp-esque. I don't know. We're going to have a super quick halftime right in between the two demo groups, and we're going to do something fun that hopefully someone in the audience can enjoy.
And so, all right, so yes, because Peter's not here, we can run our own show. We don't have to do what we want tonight. All right, so who here is working on an idea right now? Who here has an idea that they're currently going after? All right, cool. Keep your hands raised. Now, keep your hands raised if you want to try and pitch it on stage tonight. Oh, come on.
1, 2, 2.
All right, there we go. All right, come on. I do this all the time. Come on.
We got 4.
All right, we got enough. Okay, so anyone who wants to pitch their idea on stage tonight to a bunch of friends, let's say 900 of them, tweet to #DCTech with the pitch of your idea, and then kind of a couple different breaks. We're going to invite you up on stage, pitch your idea, and the crowd will just get a chance to tell whether they like it or not. So again, just tweet #DCTech with your idea, and then we'll respond to you and have you come up on stage.
And I might buy the winner of beer, maybe. I don't know.
Yes, there are prizes for the winner beyond beer.
All right, we're gonna Michael will come up on stage here in a second. Just a random note: some of you guys are familiar with General Assembly, who's just really getting started in DC over the last couple of months. They have an event coming up the day before Valentine's Day called Heartbeats. I will be DJing. That's supposed to be unironic. DJ, or learning how to DJ. It's my second gig, so you gotta come on out. All right, Michael.
Hey guys, I'm Michael, co-founder of Spinnakr, a local startup here, and I want to tell you a bit about what's been going on in the community. So DC Tech has had an extraordinary year. 2013 was one of the best on record, and that can be most seen in venture funding. So the last year was the 12-year high in the amount of venture funding in DC Tech. Most recently, there were a number of high-profile fundings for companies like Custom Ink, Fox Media, and SmartThings based here in the district. And so what's happened in 2013 is just continuing now into a fantastic 2014. We've already in this month seen a bunch of new fundings for some great companies. So Binary Fountain, a social intelligence platform, raised close to $6 million. Venga, a restaurant customer management tool, raised $1 million. Ethical Electric, which connects consumers easily to renewable energy, raised $11 million, and that's all just within the first few weeks of January. In addition to that, DC has been on the leading edge of crowdfunding. So Co-Founders Lab, a local DC startup, was the first company, as identified by the Wall Street Journal, to initiate a crowdfunding campaign, an equity-based crowdfunding campaign. The Co-Founders Lab helps founders of startups connect with other founders to be able to start their company, and they raised close to $700,000 on a platform called Rocket Post. In addition, Riide, who you'll see demoing here today, just completed a $100,000 raise on Kickstarter. In addition to that, a number of DC Tech startups have been featured on Shark Tank, the television show where big moguls like Mark Cuban interview and invest in startups. So most recently, the company called iBlock, which offers a webcam cover product, was featured. And in addition to that, Surprise Ride pitched in November, so DC has had a great run of companies on Shark Tank. In addition to that, the casting director of Shark Tank has reached out to us and is in fact interested in getting more DC Tech companies featured on the show. So if you're interested in specific details on that, just tweet at me and I can get you the information on it. Really cool opportunity to be on television pitching your idea and dream to great people like Mark Cuban. So it's not just about funding, of course. In DC Tech, we've had a number of really awesome launches. Macaw, which is this incredible tool that helps designers transform their designs into code, just launched their product, had an awesome launch party. They previously raised a ton of money on Kickstarter, a very exciting new product that a ton of people in the media are talking about. In addition to that, Postmates, which is a national startup that helps you get things delivered wherever you are, anything delivered, just launched in the DC market as well. So be sure to check them out. It's really cool if you want to get food delivered or other sorts of items in the store or whatever. You can have it delivered right away, right from your phone. In addition to that, 55 different DC area startups or tech companies demo their products at CES, the annual national Consumer Electronic Fair in Las Vegas. Really exciting to see so many DC Tech companies out there. The 2014 DC Tech year also started off with a great acquisition. Microsoft came to town and bought Frakture, which is a customer CRM, for $100 million, so a great win for the DC region and the DC area investors that invest in that company. There have been some changes in DC for the DC Tech community. Most notably, Tim O'Shaughnessy, the CEO and co-founder of Living Social, has announced that he's going to leave the company, but assures that the company is in a good position to succeed and has hundreds of millions of dollars already in the bank. So it seems like 2014 can be a really great year for Living Social, even with those changes afoot. In addition, True Ventures, a really well-known and well-respected venture firm primarily based in the Bay Area, had a DC area office but closed that, so very disappointing to see them leave the area, although they remain active in several companies there. And additionally, Hinge, a friend-of-friend dating app, which is a really great product, you should all check it out. Founded in DC, invested by a lot of local area DC investors, has moved to New York City, so it's sad to lose them, but we're excited for them to go conquer new markets. 1776, the main DC Tech sort of tech campus in town, where lots of great events and companies are based, has announced a number of really cool initiatives. They've been touring the world with their Challenge Cup, which seeks to find the most innovative companies in regulated sectors that really change the way business is done for governments and large industries like healthcare and education. In addition, they announced big grants from AT&T and have a really cool partnership with the U.S. Department of Education for an app contest, which is this weekend. So if you're interested in apps for energy, be sure to check that out. Finally, a number of new co-working spaces have launched in DC. There's just a ton of amazing co-working spaces now available. Most recently, Uber offices opened in DuPont. WeWork has opened 2 different locations, one right nearby Chinatown, and Cove launched on Blue Street. So lots of great things to look forward to, lots of new companies being started and founded, new places to work, and lots of investment happening. So I think lots of great things in store for DC Tech in 2014.
All right, Martha is going to come up and tell us a little bit about what's going on here at the Mollamustafaoglu Library, which we are extremely grateful and happy to hear, by the way.
Hi, I'm Martha Scotia. I work library, and on behalf of the library, I just want to welcome you all. We're really excited to have DC Tech Meetup here again, and I guess it's going to become a bi-monthly event, which is great. Before we get started with all of your pitches tonight, the library actually already have a pitch for all of you. So can I just get a show of hands? For how many of you is this the first time you've ever come to Martin Luther King Library? Okay. And how many of you, just out of curiosity, by the way, have a library card? No. Okay, the rest of you need to get to circulation. That's all you need to do is lock the doors. So, at any rate, the Martin Luther King Library, the library that you're in right now, is going to be renovated. And we are seeking your ideas about what that building, what we should do in that renovation. This library, just to give you a little background, was designed by the modernist architect Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. It opened in 1972, which actually makes this building a lot older than pretty much all of you probably in the crowd. So I know you guys don't know it yet, but when you hit your 40s, you're going to need to reinvent yourself a little bit. So at any rate, at this point, we're really exploring what is possible for this historic building and what it would take to make this a spectacular central library for the city. And there are two things that I want to really emphasize. First of all, we're not going anywhere. This is going to remain the location for the central library in the future. And the other is that the name of this library will not change. It will remain the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library. But so as any good product person, there are lots of you out there who know that before you launch your product, you need to talk to your customer. And so that is why we were seeking ideas from all of our customers. What would you like to see in this building? What would make it a welcoming place? What would make you guys want to come here on a regular basis, not just for an event like this, and spend time here and hang out? And what kind of services, what kind of spaces would you like to see in the building? We have 4 ways that you guys can give your input. I'm going to see if I can make this scroll. The first is that you can, we have a crowdsourcing exercise on our website through Idea Scale. You can register there and you can post your own ideas, and you can also see the other ideas that other people have posted and comment on them and vote them up and down. You can take our online survey. A few of you have already done that tonight for me. Thank you. You can participate in focus groups. In fact, I have 2 focus groups scheduled for next week if anyone's interested. There are sign-up sheets over there on the info desk. We have one in the Benning Library in Northeast DC next week, and we have one at the Tenney Library, which is in Northwest DC. They're both metro accessible. And then finally, the most important thing is that you can attend the design presentation. We will have a design presentation here at MLK Library on February 15th at 10 o'clock in the morning. The 3 design finalists for the architecture competition will be pitching their design ideas for what they see, how they see renovating this library to make it a really knock your socks off library. And for those of you who don't like getting up early on Saturday morning, you can participate in your pajamas. We will be live streaming the event because it's 10 a.m. I know it's probably early for some of you. So this site here is dclibrary.org/MLKfuture. It has all the information on it. It has links to the survey and to Idea Scale and to the other ways that you can participate. So I encourage you to check it out. And then before I relinquish the microphone back, I just want to encourage everybody, before you leave tonight, to please go visit the Digital Commons, which is the space at the back of the building there on the 1st floor. We opened in July, this summer we opened. It's a great example, actually, of how this building can evolve, I think. It used to be a reading room with lots of tall stacks. Now it's a big open space. It has more than 70 computers in it. It has creative stations with Adobe Suite software. It has a 3D printer and a scanner. And in fact, Nick pointed out to me that the guy from iBlock, right, who went on Shark Tank, he printed his prototype here on our 3D printer. So aren't we awesome? We also have an espresso book machine, so if you've written your memoir or the great American novel, you can self-publish it right here. And then for people like you, there are enhanced meeting rooms that are aimed at encouraging innovation and creation. Our talented digital commons staff, led by Nick over there, offer classes on a wide range of topics, and a lot of the classes are for more advanced users. It's not, the 101 level classes in all cases, so you should check those out too. And then Nick has information back there on how you can become a member of the Dream Lab, which is a component of the digital commons. It gives you access to free co-working space, among other things. So check that out. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna jump straight in to our first demo of the night. We have Berkay with Status Siren.
All right. Hi everyone. My name is Berkay. I'm the founder of Genie, an IT SaaS company in IT operations management market. Genie, we define the mission of Genie as to making the lives of anyone involved in IT operations suck less. And if you are involved in IT operations, you know that that's a lofty goal. Just for the record, I'm actually older than the library, so not all of us are that young. Genie is my second startup company that I founded, and this time around we were able to build the solution much faster thanks to all the services that are now available in the marketplace that we can use to build and operate Genie. I just put on some of the ones that we use, but there are many more, and that accelerates everything. But relying on services that provided by others have challenges from an operations perspective, and Status Siren is just about one of those challenges. As we work with our users in Genie, we found that one of the first things that they do when they receive an alert notification about the problem is to try to localize where the problem is so that they can redirect it. And if your service depends on other services that you rely on, you can see why that is very important, because it might be something you can fix yourself or escalate to someone else that needs to get over that problem. But we also find that information, the status of the services you rely on, is not always readily available. It's very hard when you get a page in the middle of the night about a problem and you try to figure out whether it's because of the hosting company or the DNS service that you use has a problem that impacts you or not. So we tried to figure out, we thought about this problem and tried to figure out how we can make it easier to find the status of the services that you rely on, what goes on with those services. And initially it was an niche that we had to scratch for ourselves, and we realized that any organization that relies on external services or device services have the same requirement, and we decided to build this as a free service available to everyone, and Status Siren was born out of that effort. So what does that mean for you potentially? As a subscriber of services, if you use services provided by others, you can use Status Siren to keep tabs on what's going on with those services and refer to it when there's a problem in your own services. As a provider of services, you can use Status Siren to communicate with your users, notify them when there's a problem, and give them a place that they can come and check what's going on with your service. So just if you can have a quick demo of, okay, yeah. So I'll just show a couple of things to how Status Siren works. It basically, it basically follows Twitter-like model that we have service providers and services that they provide. You can go follow a provider or subset of the services they provide. I can go, for example, here to Amazon Web Services and follow anything that that they provide, subset of the services they provide, or some of them. And by following that service, when there's a problem associated with that service, I will get notifications via email, or if I install the Genie mobile app, which is also a free app, I will get mobile push notifications as well. I can also use it to look at all the services that I'm subscribed in one place. For example, when we get notifications about problem in our service, I immediately go either in the mobile app or on the website and look at in one page all the services that I subscribe to, see whether there is any issues related to those services. We currently extract this information either from the publicly available information published by the providers themselves, or sort of go through the Twitter feeds from different people who are actually talking about these things. And we find that in the last month or so, that in some cases the Twitter information, the people just complaining about what's going on, leads the providers, and it can give a indication that there might be a problem before even the provider knows about it, or at least communicates that. So this is just a real example from, I think, yesterday, that the GitHub, some people were complaining about not being able to access to it, and based on the tweets we generated an alert, and a couple minutes later it was also communicated by GitHub folks themselves. We hope to add to this from other sources of information, talking to different monitoring services that actually do monitor these type of things, and so eventually if we want to have a rich set of information that would help people to figure out what's going on with these services. It's currently the beginning, so we are looking for feedback to see whether this is useful at all, or where it should go, etc. So ping me if you have any ideas. Again, it's a free service, and it will remain as a free service for everyone to use. Thank you.
All right, straight into number 2. Have Karan and Jain with TinyGive.
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Karan. I am the co-founder of TinyGive. We are a Twitter donation platform. And basically what we do is we enable nonprofits and other cause-related organizations to accept donations over Twitter. So getting right to it, I want to do a demo for you guys. I'm going to do a little experiment and try to raise as much money as I can in the next 4 minutes for DC Central Kitchen. So for those of you following along and want to give it a try, you can just tweet this, and we'll see how much money we can actually sort of pledge toward DC Central Kitchen. You don't have to sign up for the service first. That's one of our core features. So I'm going to just show you quickly how this works. And so, for example, if you tweet, hey, @DCCK, here's the dollar amount, whatever you feel like giving, and the hashtag TinyGive, it should pop up. Okay. So today was also the day that my co-founder is demoing in San Francisco, and we might have had some overload on the system. Right?
Or no one's doing it.
Or no one's doing it. But there we go. All right. Yeah. So we have a few here. So since this is a presentation about technology, I want to give you a little perspective into how this works. All right, so our service is really built on APIs, in particular the Twitter API, both the REST and the streaming APIs, as well as Stripe for handling payment processing. There's a lot of parts to the back end of our platform, so I'm going to explain to you like some of the more exciting things that we've done, the creative hacking things. We're listening. So basically, the streaming API by Twitter allows you to follow and track a single term, and by doing so, they will push all the tweets with that hashtag or that term to you. So effectively, we leave a connection open with Twitter, tracking the hashtag TinyGive. We store all the tweets, we parse them for a dollar amount and organization. And if you are a registered user, we will process and charge the donation. Otherwise, we send you a tweet back, which some of the other people that gave it a shot, and invite them to join. And I really want to give big props to Tridia, who actually developed the Ruby gem we're using to access the streaming API. They've done a great job, and I definitely recommend checking it out. The other kind of cool hack thing that we did was we worked with Stripe, not just for payment processing, but also for dispersing the donations. Using their Stripe Connect service, we were able to deposit donations directly into organizations' bank account. This means that we never hold the money, and that organizations don't have to wait around for checks or other sort of processing times and invoicing and all that kind of stuff. So effectively, all you have to do as an organization is register with us. There's no fee to use it. You just, or there's no monthly fee to sort of be a member of TinyGive. We just take a small percentage of each donation. And in 50% of the cases, all our donors actually assume the fees. So most of the time, the donation is actually being dispersed in full. And that's kind of like the basic background of how the technology works. Like I said, it's a fairly simple product. It's really meant to empower nonprofits and individuals to really utilize Twitter as an active fundraising mechanism as opposed to just advertising. So I just want to go quickly back to see if anyone else. Oh, there we go. We got 11 people and $33 pledged for DC Central Kitchen. We also love feedback, so while I'm demoing here, we'd love to hear about things you liked about the product, things you didn't. So just ping me at Karan at TinyGive, or you can find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is on the TinyGive website. Thanks a lot. All right, we're going to do a little swap-a-roo.
Good to see all of your massive number of China faces. I'm here to introduce Frakture. So this is my new company that my co-founder Peterson and I started. Quick background of us. This is actually our third DC Tech company. The first one was an organization called Democracy in Action that we grew to about 40 different staff people, helping about 1,000 nonprofit organizations, kind of in the advocacy world. We moved out to Salsa, and Salsa Labs did a $5 million raise, and we built that up to about $8 million revenue, with 7 folks on staff, and built about a 100 million person network that we were sending emails to, that we were sending messages out, processing we were running about 40 databases, each of which has over 1 billion rows, doing lots and lots of high volume transactions. What we realized is that we are entering a new set of problems. So I have about 3 or 4 more slides, and I'm going to cut into a geeky demo. So for all you non-geeky folks, don't worry about it. We realized that there's a bigger problem right now than just getting out messages, getting out tweets and Facebook posts and all that stuff. All these channels cause us huge amounts of challenges in getting messages out to the world. And also pulling and reporting these statistics back from these channels, from all these different channels. This is particularly key in the marketing world, but it spans all over the world. We're focusing firstly on the marketing world, on how do we solve this channel issue. Right now, you said emails, you've got emails, your website, your Twitter, your Facebook, your Google, your Google Plus, your Google Ads, all of your YouTube stuff, your mobile messaging, your direct mail. The number of channels that you communicate on right now is absolutely insane. If you're doing a good job, you're just on the major social networks, and maybe it's online events. Most people aren't. This is a huge problem that we realized that we needed to solve in this space. So we built a massive database engine that starts with a little bit of a geek. We built a huge analytics engine. We're using Amazon Redshift, which is a column store database. It's pretty recently released by Amazon. It's a warehouse institution. And there isn't anything that does a faster join across billions of records than Amazon Redshift. So we're using Amazon Redshift for kind of our core database of record. We're using MongoDB for kind of our caching layer and some of our other object model work. And then we're doing a lot of different modeling and statistics work. We use Node.js as kind of our big engine. Out of curiosity, who here knows or has used Node.js? Okay, so not pretty good. Pure JavaScript server-side stuff, this programming style is very callback-based programming style, very similar to client-based. But it allows some pretty amazing things in terms of scheduling and doing lots of high numbers of operations. So we took this analytics folks who were like, we got all your numbers, we got all your stats, we got all your reports. And they're like, great, we'll get you our data. And 2 weeks turned into 4, turned into 8. We realized that solving the reporting issue was insufficient. We needed to solve the harder issue of how you got everyone's data from all these different channels, brought them all together, synchronized it, integrated it, and allowed them to analyze that information and work with their team. To do that, we realized that we needed to build an army. We couldn't hire 500 people like someone like a massive marketing campaign like the Obama campaign or something. We needed to do this for everybody. We needed to expand this army. So we did bots. And so bots is basically what Frakture is about. An engagement army of digital robots, these are not physical ones, so this is not like bot maker area, that we synchronize with your organization and with your company to accomplish things that otherwise you could not accomplish. We've got a number of different types of bots, and I'll show you them here in a second. We've got our channel bots. They're digging into your Salesforce account. They're digging into your CRM, your CMS, some of all your local databases, pulling out data. We have our data bots. They're Russian. They drink vodka and sit in the basement and do lots of fancy analytic work. The chatter bots go to social networks, work on a lot of these networks out there. And our worker bots, they're doing the FTPs, the gzips, all the kind of geekery bottom layers that allows these other bots to happen. So I'm going to show you some of these bots and explain a little bit about how some of our infrastructure works to power these dozens of types of bots running literally tens of thousands of jobs a day. So this is actually what we call our our job management screen, and I'm going to show it not just in Chrome. I'm also going to show Safari, and I'll explain why in a second. So let me refresh this, and we'll get our plots going. Okay. So what you're seeing here, is a RabbitMQ messaging server that is sending messages around jobs and taskings that we're storing in the Mongo database for kind of long-term data structures. So the biggest challenge we had was how do you notify thousands of concurrently running bots running across hundreds of different systems that they need to start, that they need to stop? How do you notify individuals that they have a job or a task that they need to finish, whether they need to configure a job and work on some of that data, to get the bots going again? So this part of the demo is mostly showing not even the reporting aspects that you get from these bots, but some of the challenges associated with it. It's using WebSockets, so you're actually seeing on whether it be your Safari screen or your basically your Firefox screen or your mobile device or your iPad. All these synchronized messages and tasking that's running around that can synchronize individuals for jobs or bots, automated bots, whether they take a millisecond to finish or thousands of seconds, or even hours to finish. This is hard. This is something which Node.js, RabbitMQ, and a lot of the newer technologies out there allows us to do so that we can run these thousands of jobs concurrently at the same time and produce amazing reports. So we can start doing cross-channel ROI reports that lets you see how all of your different data and statistics are running across every single marketing communications channel that you're using. We're either running by timelines or by message, even cutting things like segments, men, women, all these different data sets. Basically, the dream world of getting all your stats, all your numbers in one spot, delivered to you by an army of robots controlled by these RabbitMQ servers out there. So that's kind of a quick overview of Frakture, and I was told that I should note that you guys should follow us at Frakture, and thank you very much for your time.
flux capacitor here. All right. Next up, we have Riide, or as it's spelled, Riide. All right. You want to talk? Are you Riide? She's Riide. This is Riide.
So Amber and I both grew up in small New England towns. We often joke about who has less traffic lights in their town. I'm currently winning. My town has 1, hers has 2. So needless to say, we were excited when we came to DC. DC is a fantastic city. We've been here for 15 years combined between the 2 of us now. We absolutely love it. See the DC Tech scene grow, the hardware tech scene grow. It's just been fantastic. But there's one thing about DC that still kind of sucks, and that I don't think we'll ever come to accept, and that's the traffic. Getting around the city is terrible. There's no 2 ways about it. Often to go a couple miles can take upwards of an hour. So that really is what inspired us to kind of hack urban transportation and develop Riide. At Riide, we're building electric bikes. For those of you unfamiliar with what an electric bike is, it's effectively a traditional bike with a small motor and a small battery. So you can either pedal like you always have, twist the throttle and travel at speeds of 20 miles an hour without pedaling, or do both at once and go even faster. And Amber's going to tell you a few more of the details about kind of the technical aspects of how it works.
Thanks, Jeff. So Jeff was mentioning an electric bike differs from a regular bike in just a few manners. There's 3 electrical components. You have the motor, you have a battery that's housed inside the frame here, and you have a controller. Now, since this is a tech meetup, I'm going to geek out with you all on the specs here for a minute. So our motor is a 350 watt nominal power, 600 watt peak power, brushless direct drive rear hub motor. And what that means is there's actually magnets inside of it that switch polarity and allow it to go 20 miles an hour. The battery here inside of the frame is really light. We custom designed it with an American and US manufacturer. It weighs just 4 pounds. It's 8.7 amp hours. It plugs into a standard wall outlet and charges in just 2 to 3 hours. The third component is the controller. It allows everything to talk together, so it's really the brains of the operation. The rest of the components on the bike are standard bike components. So the beauty of that is that maintenance is simple. It can be serviced at any quality bike shop, and the components are standard. They're carried at most bike shops. Our bike is retailing for $17.99. Now, how that compares to other e-bikes on the market, to get something with comparable components, you'd be looking to spend about $2,500 to $5,000. Now, I don't want to lie to you, you can definitely get an e-bike for $300, just like you can get a car for $300, but the quality is going to vary a little bit. You can also spend $30,000 on an e-bike. But we really fill this gap in the marketplace for a high-quality product at an affordable price. And $17.99 is about the cost of 1 to 2 years on public transit, so really putting it into perspective there. So we are, as Jeff mentioned, proud to be a local DC hardware startup. We are assembling these bikes here in DC, so they're assembled in the US very locally. We just launched 2 weeks ago on Kickstarter. We've sold about 50 bikes to date and about $90,000 in sales, which we're really excited about. People seem to love the bike. We think you will too. We're going to be giving test rides after if anyone's adventurous enough to come out in the cold and try the bike. And we're just going to leave you with the intro to our Kickstarter video, which is about a minute long, and just kind of talks a little bit about our kind of company manifesto and how we came up with Riide and who we are. I'm going to give that a go.
We are done being cow-eyed and corralled. We are not black ties or casual Fridays. The boxes we fit in have not been built. Our labels have yet to be printed. We're tired of being judged, prejudged, misjudged, told how, when, and where to be, as if our hearts were not the first alarms. We're not moving to the suburbs. This is our concrete, gravel, and glass, our playground. This is where we live. This is the American dream, dreaming like we understand life is far too wide to fit inside of a corner office. We need more space to enjoy this ride. Why wait to be promoted when we can promote ourselves? Become spoke and throttle, become translucent insects coming through cities. Why make the road less traveled when we can be the untraveled streets? We didn't just reinvent the wheel, we redreamed the entire machine. We are engineers of change. We are more revolutionary than revolution. We are evolution. Modern man, modern woman. We are the gears that turn. We are the device we have been waiting for. Reclaim your freedom. Take back your city. Go on. Ride.
Check it out. All right, last up in our first cohort, we have Ted and Georgia from our friends at Vox Media, which some of you may know their properties of SB Nation and Polygon and The Verge, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Hey guys, it's really, really awesome to be here. We do a terrible job of actually getting out into the DC community. We're normally like holed up in our office making shit. So like first question, like how many of you guys are familiar with Vox? All right, that's awesome. For those of you that aren't, and you just mentioned it, we publish The Verge, SB Nation, Polygon, Curved, Eater, and Racked, with aspirations to do even more than that. So, like at our roots, like before we were Vox, we were just SB Nation. And before we were really SB Nation, we were only 6 websites. And they were fan-base driven websites, all based around sports. We've kind of grown. We now have 310, 320, somewhere 300 plus community websites, all based around sports. Sitting on top of that is SBNation.com, which is kind of our flagship for sports. This past year, what we realized is we had great depth of content. We didn't do a great job of packaging that content together in a high-touch fashion. And the other thing we didn't do a great job of is, if you think about sports, typically there are events that happen over time. So really what we wanted to do this year is come up with an elegant way to kind of package sporting events that evolve over time. We're going to kind of showcase the NFL playoffs, and I'm going to let Georgia take over since she pretty much designed the whole thing.
Hello. So we went into this NFL playoffs event package with 3 goals. We wanted to launch a super awesome editorial event package that people could come back to whatever stage of the playoffs they wanted to. They could get a preview, they could get a recap. We had big ideas around that. Our second goal was to maximize the efficiency. This was probably the 5th or 6th, what we like to call a tentpole item, which is a very large, high-touch, customized feature that we had done. And we recognized that there were a lot of areas for improvement in efficiency. And of course, we wanted to increase traffic. So to talk a little bit more about this efficiency component, the pieces that we had done before, like the 5 to 6 temple items that we've done before, the structure was that markup and styles were pretty much in the same area that content was, editorial content. So in order to...
So really what that meant was that like a designer literally had to jump in and feel like if editorial, like a player got hurt, an editorial needed an edit to be made, but like editorial couldn't make that edit. A designer had to go in and mark up and update that, which, like, as any of you guessed, massive pain in the ass. First one we launched, we were like really, really excited. A couple people got hurt that weekend. It was launching on Monday. We spent all Sunday night updating the copy. Like, just completely non-optimal way to work. Our awesome VP of technology spent a weekend and through Middleman and Google Apps, build a way that like the entire app is actually powered through spreadsheets in Google Apps. So we can push changes live like whenever we want.
Yeah, so it's an extremely efficient way for designers to worry about design and for editors to worry about editorial content without having to communicate with product. So this was our final product. It's a fully responsive editorial app that represents NFL playoff coverage. We'll get to a little demo of this, but I just wanted to go through a couple of results with you. We were pretty successful in launching the app. We, as it goes right now, this is still live, of course, because we haven't reached the Super Bowl yet. We're around at 400,000 page views, and the average time in the app is 2 minutes, 30 seconds. And we'd like to show you guys the app. So this is the landing page. You come here, and we have a full bracket. Frakture Davidson, I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He's a mad genius when it comes to design. He designed all of our individual blog logos. So these are all unique to SB Nation, which is always fun to showcase them. So you come here. Originally there were previews leading up to the games, and then now there's recaps. And it was also a nice opportunity for us to link out to our individual sports communities, team communities, and
again, I think one of the fascinating parts was like previous to this, it would have taken like game would have happened, we would have to like the writer would write recap, they deliver that to us, we would input all that text. This way, the writer can actually write it, hit publish, and that thing would go live. So like the time for us to actually get this like to market was probably cut, I don't know, by like 70 to 80%, which was for us in like publishing was super, super awesome.
It really was. There wasn't one moment where anybody on the design or development side touched a piece of editorial content, which was really exciting because we felt like it was one of the first features where design was really able to focus on was they want to focus on an editorial ad ownership over their content.
And that is kind of like the interesting thing is like we're also using this as a framework like that like across all of our other properties. So you'll be seeing more things like this across Polygon, Bird, and eventually Kirby or Crack. And that is our NFL playoffs app.
All right, everyone who just demoed, come back up. We're going to do a quick 5-minute Q&A. So if you have burning questions, start to raise your hand. For anybody that just demoed, Speed's going to pass you the mic, and we're going to go straight into the last 5 demos. Yeah, just spread out on stage.
No, have any questions? Raise your hand. Come on. Someone's got to ask something.
There you go. Say your name and who it's for.
David Miller for bots. So you spoke of the framework and the ability to have that complete separation. Could you talk a little bit more about that framework and I guess some of more of the tech part?
Alright, so I am quite possibly the worst person to ask about the technological part. I'm the senior director of design, so I sit in a completely different spot. But you know, if I were to kind of like channel Pablo, like basically what he saw is he saw like 2 teams, like with editorial and product, that were like really struggling. And like he's like a bit of a genius. So like he literally took that weekend and with Middleman and Google Apps and made what we call like now call our editorial apps. And he made it. I am more than happy, like if you hook me up with your card, I'm more than happy to put you in touch with him. He loves to talk about that, but I will not do it justice. I will probably like say the complete wrong thing, like that's insane.
More questions for Not Fox.
Good evening. My name is Rosemary. My question is, I'm a non-profit organization. My organization is called Hope for Tomorrow. I focus on conflict resolution and violence prevention, and we work internationally observing elections. I wanted to ask about Twitter. How do we link to your Twitter? Do we come through you, or do we do it the donation, or if we want donation on our organization, how do we do it?
Sure, yeah, that's a great question. So for organizations, basically you have to have a Twitter account set up first, and then you simply come to our platform and create an account where you just have to give us your Twitter handle. And then from there, every time somebody mentions your organization's Twitter handle, we'll sort of start the processing of the donation. So it's really low touch and pretty simple, and a lot of that stuff we, account permissions and all that we put off on Twitter itself.
All right, we got another question. Go for it.
I had a question for the Riide group, the bicycle people. Since I'm guessing a major concern for your bikes is going to be theft and like stuff like that, have you thought about putting a GPS in that middle column thing and just having apps to track it, so when someone individually wants to spawn in for $2,000, you can at least go arrest them?
For sure, that's a good idea, thank you. Yeah, we've definitely thought about it, and it's definitely something that we continue to think about. At this point, we really just wanted to get the core of the bike down and just nail it and hammer it home. And what was an awesome first product, and then focus more on an app development and GPS and connectivity later on. But definitely something that we're thinking about. And actually, in our models that we have to keep test rides on, there's a GPS tracker in it. So, thank you.
All right, any last questions, hopefully for Frakture or Siren? Great, last one right over here. Might come your way. Just throw it, see. Overhead. One question.
All right, I'll ask Frakture then. Frakture, I like the idea of having an army of little bot guys. How does that solve the problem that you mentioned of the difficulty of integrating non-standard data sources?
We like to think of them as a bunch of little interns, is the best way to think about them, that they're very reliable interns that work kind of 24/7. So if you can task an intern to do it, and it's kind of a repetitive process, you can schedule a bot to do it, right? So if it's going into your Excel spreadsheet and you've got a bot that can understand the columns in your Excel spreadsheet, it can consolidate the data and pull it in. Most systems we work with have a standard data schema, so it's pretty easy for us to pre-make most of the bots. But as long as you can prefab the work and kind of plan out the work, it turns out that you can consolidate the data to get a lot better reports. Answer your question?
I think we had one more. Yeah.
Hey, I'm Fletcher. I'm actually just delaying the talk I'm about to give. Now, I have a question about status pages on the GitHub Twitter stuff we saw.
Yes.
What's the tech behind deciding when someone thinks the GitHub is down?
From the Twitter side, currently you basically looked at the history of the tweets to see what people say about when something is down. And based on those, we created some keywords, and we're monitoring those keywords constantly and look at how many hits there are. So based on numbers and thresholds, we set different thresholds for different services based on their history and how much volume there is. When Amazon is down, there's a lot more chatter than, say, smaller services down. So we kind of try to adjust that to come up with a threshold that would give within that last 15 minutes, if there's a jump in the number of tweets that says Amazon down, or some curse words that we found as well, then we create this chart that shows the change in the number of tweets.
All right, one last giant round of applause for everybody.
Second half of presentations, and first up we have Fletcher with TrackMaven.
hiring the best and the brightest designers, developers, salespeople, marketers. So come find someone in one of the quirky shirts, or drop us an email. Our stack for all you tech nerds, Django, Angular, D3, Redis, Postgres, AWS, all that fun stuff. So as Chris from Frakture was mentioning earlier, marketers today are facing an ever-increasing problem of way too many channels. Social media, news, blogs, paid advertising, email campaigns, you name it. Now multiply that across all of the competitors you might want to track, and it becomes almost impossible to keep up. That's where TrackMaven can help out. We offer a comprehensive competitive intelligence platform for enterprise marketers. Now, I'm not going to do an entire pitch demo, but I do want to give you a quick introduction to our platform. Usually takes half an hour. We're going to go for a minute and a half, so don't blink. Here we go. So you see our activity feed here, where you're seeing individual pieces of content from yourself and your competitors. You can see how they stack up against each other, what kind of engagement they're getting. And of course, you can filter by different channels. Here, let's say we want to take a look at the most engaging LinkedIn posts over the past month. We see that on New Year's, Walmart was able to get hundreds of people engaging with this post here. Now, to make sure you don't miss anything, you might also want to set up alerts. Let's say out of a group of competitors, there's a traffic spike for somebody, or a competitor has a YouTube video that goes viral. You can set it up here so that we email you as soon as that happens, and you can respond with your own marketing efforts. We have brand profile pages where you see a quick snapshot of the brand's website, some of its traffic and demographic info about its visitors. And here we're comparing Target to the average of all their competitors across various metrics in different areas. And you can, of course, compare them to different groups of competitors and individual competitors to benchmark how your marketing efforts are doing as well. We have a graphing visualization feature. So here we're looking at Target's Facebook fans weekly for the past quarter compared to all of their competitors. So we can go down here and highlight Target and see how things are changing over time with their Facebook marketing efforts. We can see individual data points, and of course we can click through to see what content is driving the biggest changes that we see over time. So that was the whirlwind tour of what TrackMaven is. You're probably thinking that's great if I'm a CMO of a big brand, but what about my marketing efforts? Specifically, your burning question is probably, how do I get people paying more attention to my tweets? Well, we have millions of them, so I went ahead and analyzed them. And first of all, when are people tweeting? In general, big brands and power users are tweeting this fairly normal distribution, with most of it happening in the middle of the day. When are their tweets actually getting retweeted, though? It's a bit of a different profile. We see these little spikes in the early morning, midday, end of work, and then a lot of volume happening later on and late in the night. So you might want to wait to send your tweets out later at night when everyone's catching up on their important news. Hashtags, everybody loves them. Do they actually work? Well, it turns out they're pretty effective. You will see even up to 4 or 5 hashtags, more retweets on average per tweet, as you're using more hashtags in your tweets to get engagement. Although, of course, you reach that peak level of annoyance and start to drop off when you get a little spammy and you're not giving as interesting of content. Now, we do have this point of 11 or more hashtags up in the stratosphere, but at that point, you're probably tweeting into the void, and balance probability you're just being retweeted by lots of spammy Twitter bots, rather than a real audience engaging with your content. Speaking of content, took a look at the actual text of tweets as well. Here we're looking at the uppercase letter ratio. So in other words, on the far left, we have total aversion to the shift key, all lowercase. Far right, we have full-on caps lock internet shouting. And it turns out, if you're louder, you get noticed more on Twitter, and you get more retweets for it. Likewise, I took a look at exclamation point usage. This is the number of exclamation points used. And believe it or not, there's a perfectly positive correlation between your level of excitement and the interaction that you get on Twitter. Now, of course, when this report first came out, we had everybody on Twitter shouting about it. Some of them, even CNET here, is getting in the game using all caps. Maybe they're doing this ironically, but if you took a look at their Twitter posts, they were actually getting more retweets on average than they would have otherwise by using this strategy. Now that brings me to my final point though. If everybody is shouting, then eventually no one's heard it and you won't stand out anymore. So your marketing, of course, like any good competitive strategy, has to be always evolving, always changing. You can't afford to be reactive and following the biggest trends that you see. You have to be very proactive in your marketing strategy. Get out there, measure and analyze every day what's working to stay ahead of the competition. Thanks. That's my Twitter handle. Don't chat too much.
Next, we have the team from CapitolHop, and I should mention if you do want to pitch your event or idea or something at the end, just remember to tweet your 140-character pitch to #DC Tech, and our harsh judges, DJ and Mike, will be deciding who comes up. So.
So I'm going to go next as we try to figure out this technical issue because it's not here for me directly. So I'm next. I forgot to put my name or my Twitter handle on any of my slides, so I'm really sorry about that. But it's @ZCSAALE. You probably won't remember that, but that's okay. So I'm going to talk about the social cooler, also from iStrategyLabs. You've probably heard the social cooler if you've heard of us. It's something that I built around 2 years ago, and it used Foursquare check-ins to open up. Also, I need to get something. So, I'm going to talk about the new social cooler that we built. Actually, it's the old one. We just updated it with iBeacons. So if you're familiar with iBeacons, it's a product or kind of an idea that Apple announced, which uses BTLE for essentially location-based services. BTLE is Bluetooth Low Energy. So what we did is we added a BTLE to the social cooler so that it's now activated based on your proximity to the cooler. It can also be activated depending on how many people are close to it. For this demo, we're just using one iPad, which is this one right here. So the way that you detect the proximity is signal strength. So you can see if you're at the 80 mark here, nothing's going to happen. If you're at the 70 mark here, nothing's going to happen. But when you get to the 60 mark, and it requires more than one device, you'll receive a push notification that lets you know that, like, hey, there's a social cooler here, bring 3 of your buddies back and it'll open up. There you go. 2 devices, checks, opens up, and then you get beer. So hopefully this will work when I walk up to it. If not, I'll fake it. So. Of course. Sorry. Alright, a lot of technical issues today, but this is what would happen. And we have beer inside. So let's mix it in. I am sorry that it actually worked, but it worked before the demo. So, yeah. That's it. Sorry about that.
There we go. Okay. So we were trying to airplay directly, but I guess that's not gonna work for us now.
No.
All right. Well,
no. Sorry, guys.
So anyway, I'm Chetan. This is Scott. We run a company called Traverse, and we are building some really cool digital products. One of which is right here. Yeah. There we go. All right. So this is called CapitolHop, and it is basically a simple, as you can see, a simple and beautiful way to navigate the district. When we talk about public transit, we don't really evoke the best emotion from people. You know, a lot of us like to complain about metro delays or bus delays or things like that, and us included. But you know, Scott and I were thinking, there should be some better way, some better experience for using public transit, especially in DC. And unfortunately, we can't go around and fix the trains. We can't change your bus driver, unfortunately. But we can probably help you plan out your day before you leave your home. And that's where CapitolHop comes in.
All right, so I was going to give you a really cool demo of CapitolHop, but instead I'll have to go off the website. That's all right. So I can, yeah, because I have this really cool little demo slide on the website to show you guys all the little features and talk through it all, so it actually worked out all right. So as a designer, my main goal was to make it super simple when people are out and about to check the next bus and train departures, and also be able to see the stations that are closest to you. So I designed this screen with that in mind. So we have this really cool split screen between, which has like a list of the nearest stations to you, and also a map, which you can actually expand and explore around and see all the stations. We also have a really cool feature where you slide any station to the left and you get the next 3 departures. And these departures actually update in real time, so there's no need to pull to refresh or anything like that. And Chetan will talk a little bit later about all the tech that goes on behind this, because I'm sure you guys are interested to know how that all works. We also have at the bottom this metro and bus toggle right down here. And so you can toggle between the different transport options, and so there's no need to have multiple apps for metro and bus. It's kind of all in one thing. So I know I mentioned before about this this slide for departures feature. Chetan's going to talk a little bit about how we're bringing in all the real-time data for that.
Yeah, so like Saul was saying, we didn't want it to be a pull to refresh or anything like that. So as you can expect, we used WebSockets. So right here you're seeing the iOS socket client, and it's communicating. We're acting as an intermediary between WMATA and you. And so our server is basically caching this data real time, and so you are getting this data from our servers. And so it's a lot quicker, and you don't have to, like Saul was saying, you don't have to like pull to refresh, you don't have to worry whether that data is going to be stale.
All right, so a few other things. I mean, I wish I could show you this, but we've completely redesigned the Metro map because I'm not really the biggest fan of the design of the Metro map, to be honest. So we completely redesigned that. It's interactive. We have a pretty sweet offline mode for travelers. So if you come here and you don't have internet, you'll still be able to use the Metro map. Trying to think of what else. More feature stuff. So, I mean, we're looking to build in a lot more features to the app. We want to build in a journey planner. We want to take in smart trip data and allow people to check their smart trip card balances. And, you know, we'd love to hear from you guys any more suggestions for any more features that you'd like to see. So 2 things that we'd love you to do: go to CapitolHop.com, download the app, it's free, try it out and let us know what you think. We'd love to hear your feedback. Another thing that I want to mention is we are, one second. So there's no point in making an app without an awesome launch party. So next week we have a launch party planned. It's Thursday, January 30th. We're holding it at Include. It's at K and 14th. We're gonna have free beer, free food there. We'd love to see you guys there. Donate to get a ticket. All the donations go to a really great charity called by.to. And you can read more about that on the event page. So, thanks.
And next up is Yopine. I should also mention, by the way, you see cameras all over the place. If anyone couldn't make it, if any of your friends could make it tonight, or you really want to watch tonight all over again, this will be available on YouTube under Meetup Central, right? And without further ado, here's Yopine.
Hi everybody, my name is Gary Lindell, and it's kind of neat being at the Martin Luther King Memorial Library being the same week that it's the Martin Luther King holiday as well. And little known fact, Martin Luther King was a big tech guy. Matter of fact, anybody know his favorite dev tool? Dreamweaver. Loose? Good. So, I'm going to do something that's a tad bit different, maybe than the other guys have done so far, and per DJ's BC chain. And it's not going to be a demo. It's going to be kind of just a quick journey through the 2 versions that are my company and my app called Yopine. And I'm going to talk a little bit about engineering, not too much, and a little bit about design, and then mostly about the product. So, what is Yopine, or what is a Yopine, or what is Yopine? Yopine is a couple things. First of all, it's what we call a micro-polling platform. And micro-polling is simply brief, Single subject and rapid result feedback on any subject, item, or topic. It's a poll that's really small. We'd like to say it's real-world decision-making that results in real-world action. So how does it work? You start out, you ask a question, any question. What do we think? What do we like? What do we want to do? Anything, really. And then there's a theme that you're going to hear throughout my talk. Yopine is two things. Call a poll. That means I have ideas and I want a decision. Call a brainstorm. I have a question, but I need ideas. That's it. That's not the end of my talk, but that's all Yopine is. So they also asked, as a matter of fact, when I got here, some guys asked me, we were chatting before the thing started, and they said, you're going to talk about some of the technology that's involved in it. And so I wasn't planning on it, but I'm happy to, if that's what you're interested in. So I'll get into that a tad bit. First I want to do a quick sort of traditional old school poll. How many people, by show of hands, are in startups currently? All right, no idea how many that is. How many people plan to be in startups over the, say, the near future or close near future? Okay, well that's a smaller number than R, which is alarming, but that's okay. So that's good, that's good. You should do it because it's easy. I know that sounds crazy. However, it's a huge challenge. It's easy, but it's a huge challenge, monumental challenge. The good news is there are tools, products, services, and people who can get you there infinitely faster than it ever has been able to be done historically. This is my third startup, and each one has probably been cut in half to 2/3 with the amount of time it took me to go from idea to product. And that's hugely significant because, not to be cliche, but time is money. If you get it out there faster, you're in the game. And so let me just tell you a little bit. I was going to make a comparison to Everest, but that seems a little overdone, so I'll skip that. But I'm going to tell you a little bit. We knew all the products we were going to use right off the bat. We knew we had to have a database. Well, that used to mean going out and buying Oracle for $500 billion and hiring people to administer it and set it up and all that. Now there's things called Parse out there, owned by Facebook, where you can go out and set up a database backend, and hell, they'll even give you a ton of code to get your stuff going in the first to launch for $50 a month. So I'm gonna beat down all the excuses that you might have for not starting or going with your idea for the people who raised their hands a second ago. So we use parts of both the database and the cloud code. We use Twilio to communicate with our users via their phone numbers. We use Node.js and a couple other very, very powerful and very, very cheap tools that got my product to market from idea in 15 weeks. Maybe when you see it, that'll seem like a lot. Maybe it won't. And then there's the other thing. I was saying, or I guess it's not my saying, but it's somebody saying, it's outsource everything except the ideas. And that's really okay in the beginning. When you have enough money to source a team and fund a team, build a team. But outsource everything in the beginning because it's much cheaper. I have two teams, one I call the math team and one I call the art team. The math team's overseas and they do all the hardcore coding. The art team's here, and they're a lot more expensive, but they push all the pixels around and make things look pretty, which is what I'm finally going to get to tell you. What you're looking at right here, for way too long I suppose, is the lean startup methodology. And all you need to remember from this, I do it in 3 letters. BML, build, measure, learn. Build, measure, learn. Build a lot, measure it to see how it did, learn from that, and then build, add, subtract, or fix. So, one of the tenets of the lean startup and the agile method of software development is the MVP. It's the minimum viable product, and that's what we did at first. We built a minimum viable product. And that's what you're seeing right here. And now the cool thing about it is it's flat. Before flat was all cool and hip and in vogue and being touted by Apple. It's no longer flat, but that doesn't mean it's bad. So what do we do? I mentioned already, you ask a question, you call a poll, you call a brainstorm. So what does that mean? You ask any question you want. And this is actually isn't really 1.0, it's 1.5 because you'll notice that I have a Facebook friend there and that was added as a point release. So you ask a question, you invite people, you decide whether you want it to be public, and then you create options, and then you send the poll or the brainstorm. So what is a poll? A poll is I have ideas, and I want my friends to vote on what we should do tonight, or where we should go, or whatever. And it can be your friends, it can be the public, or it can be a different kind of group. So a poll is a poll is a poll, right? It's very simple to understand. A brainstorm is a little bit different. Like I said, you have a question, and you solicit ideas from your friends. Again, very simple. Just depends on kind of what your situation, what your needs are, right? Brainstorm. Help me out. Something that we thought of as we were doing this was, well, maybe you sometimes you want a combination of the two. Maybe you have ideas, but you have too many ideas and you want to narrow it down and still come to a decision. So you can do what's called brainstorm the poll. Starts out as a regular brainstorm. The ideas come flowing in. You tap the ones you want. You tap B to P, and you have a poll. It goes out just like a regular poll. It's patent pending, so don't lift it. Now, I mentioned that I was going to talk about the progression of the journey, if you will, from version 1 to version 2, and that's where this starts. We're starting right now. So new in version 2, probably a couple things that you might expect. You might wonder why they're not there if you haven't already downloaded the app. Photos, that's it, baby. That's everything today. It's all visual. I mean, Instagram is taking over the world. Snapchat, I'll talk about Snapchat. Scrolling content. People want to be able to get through stuff. They want to just go boom, yes, boom, no, boom, idea, bang, 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 bang. Scrolling content, remember that. Sharing, that's no secret. Okay, we didn't have the ability to share it on Facebook, Twitter, email, or a link that you can do whatever you want with. We now do. And I'm going to show you all this, by the way, pictorially in a second. Brainstorm poll, of course, patent pending. People around me is something I'll talk about briefly, but I'd love to talk to anybody who wants to come and hear more about it because it's a whole presentation unto itself. We are the only polling app, because of an other patent that's not ours, that allows the concept of hyper-local polling. That means that I can poll everybody in this room by pinning the poll with a brainstorm on the resident Wi-Fi, and only the people who are in ambient contact with that Wi-Fi will be able to see it. I know, that was a lot. That was like part of Frakture's presentation. Thank you. It's a compliment. And then of course the Android. Gotta have it, right? 1 minute. That's all I need. So now that we have the ideas of what we need to do. Oh, by the way, incidentally, real quick, the way I figured these things out wasn't picking them out of a hat, throwing darts at a dartboard, or just thinking what I like to do. We conducted very specific scientific usability testing at 1776, which is where I'm hosted. So I have lots of people who love to give their opinions about everything, including how my app should work. But you gotta do it. You gotta listen to your customers. Somebody else said that up here, and nothing rings more true in this business. So I do all the designs. This may look familiar to anybody who's a designer or a product owner. These are mock-ups, wireframes, whatever you want to call them. They are my life. It's what I do every day. I see them in my sleep. So really quickly, let's go from Yopine 1.0 to Yopine 2.0. Here's your ask. There's your new ask. Here's your ask filled out. Sorry if I'm going too fast. 30 seconds. Poll. Here's your traditional poll, version 1.0. Here's your new poll with photos and kind of a cooler way to select the options that you're given. Here's a poll filled out with results. Percentages, number of votes. Here's the traditional brainstorm. Ask me a question, send me ideas. Here's version 2 brainstorm. Comments. The ability to, if something isn't quite right about the poll, I don't like the answers, none of them are really cool, they don't quite hit, and I want to tell somebody about it, you can add a comment to it. Pretty standard stuff. Sharing. All I have to do now is long tap anywhere on the screen, and this little nugget will come up. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Simplicity and beautiful, I meant to mention at the beginning, that's sort of our mantra. People around me, as what I was talking about earlier, is literally the ability to hyper-locally poll. And it's really important if you understand how polls can be trolled, and nobody can really do anything realistic or accurate with polling because of trolling. People who aren't in the building texting a code to a phone number somewhere in Tuscaloosa. If you follow us, you'll hear more about it over the coming months. Android, just a screenshot of iOS on an Android phone. Real quick, I'm getting the hook, and I just want to mention we do have a business and we are going to make money. So YopineStar.edu, we're going to be in the classroom, communication between student and professor. YopineStar.gov, elected official can walk through a neighborhood and ask constituents for their opinions on snow removal, leaf removal, ask for donations, what have you, locally, hyper-locally. And Yopine.com is we're in the boardroom, and they need a private vote on certain minutes or whatever. And then we have a web dashboard where embeddable polls, you can put them on any of your websites. Pay per sample, Coca-Cola can buy 50,000 votes on a new fancy drink, and sponsor keywords. If I'm near a restaurant and I say, hey friends, where should we eat tonight? That restaurant will pop up in the results set for all my friends to see. There's my contact information, thank you.
The last up for the night is Usher.
Thank you everybody for staying along. I promise we'll keep this short. One of the reasons you can see is the battery life's not too good on this computer right now. But you know, this is a lot of you guys are in a startup community, so this is what we adapt. All right.
Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library is closing in 30 minutes. Conference material checked out by that time. Thank you.
Well, as if there wasn't enough to tell me that I don't have a lot of time. Well, actually, like, I'm really happy to be here. I followed the DC Tech startup for a lot, but you know, being what it is, and I haven't had the time to make it out. But I'm really thankful to be out here to talk to you guys about the really new revolutionary technology that we call Usher. It's not to be confused with the R&B hip-hop artist, the same name, but it is meant to actually sort of usher you around to different things that you have to do throughout the day. So. I wanted to basically just introduce a little bit of what this is. So actually a lot of you guys did some shopping at Black Friday. Maybe you went to a Bullseye type store, used your credit card, and figured out that some of you guys were attacked. It's one of those things. Look to the right of you, look to the left of you, all of you guys were compromised. So there is a need now to dematerialize a lot of the physical transactions that we're doing in the world today. I also like, it's one of those PSAs that were around when I was a kid. It's about what, like 8:30, do you know where your phone is? Everybody does know where their phone. I bet you 90% of you guys, 99% of you guys are holding your phone in your hand, doing something, playing Angry Birds Go, or even tweeting about what I'm saying up here right now. But I'd ask you the same question about where your wallet is, and I know I don't want to be sexist or anything, but the women usually have their wallets in their purse, and it's a big abyss that things go into, sort of be lost forever. And even guys have pockets, and they have deep pockets and baggy pants now. So there's always an opportunity to lose your wallet. And you don't really know about that wallet being lost until you actually have that embarrassing moment where you go to pay and you end up, oh no, can you guys borrow $5 for a hamburger? So we're actually looking at a way to do away with this with the phone. And there's a lot of things that we can actually do. The first thing is to dematerialize all of your physical credentials into the palm of your hand. And we can do this by making a secure link to your biometric data. The phone gives you a lot of opportunity to record your voice through the microphone, take a facial print through the camera, and even do something more advanced through more advancements in the phone by something like taking an iris picture. This is not necessarily available today, but this is definitely where we're holding. I mean, if you think about the pinhole camera that takes the front-facing picture, that used to be the digital camera about 3 or 4 years ago. So you're thinking about how we're moving, rapidly moving in the phone, and we have this special affinity with the phone. The statistics say that you check your phone between 120 to 140 times a day, which usually equates to about being awake. Some of you night owls that are working at the startup, you're up probably 20 hours a day, but it usually equates to about 10 times an hour. So you always know where your phone is, and you're always connected to your phone. So what we're trying to do is create a platform centered around this affinity. Make it smart and secure, but also convenient. And the way we do this is by creating a very simplified interface. Like, a lot of the mantras around here, keep it simple, keep it elegant. That's exactly what our mantra is here. We're looking to try to find a great way to give you a lot of functionality, opening doors, accessing websites, even figuring out where people are around you using Bluetooth technology. So right now I want to actually give you a quick demonstration of how this can actually look. So here we're actually, Microstrategy has been around for a while, and I'll show you this very, very fun picture of me. It's actually on my Facebook, but we're actually using this for our conference badge. We have a conference coming up next week in Vegas, so I encourage all of you guys to go to microstrategy.com and follow our Microstrategy World Conference. We'll be discussing a lot of the technologies that we're getting into. One of these is Usher. So what you can see here is I have a badge. You're seeing a countdown. A QR code is generated on my device. It actually changes. There's nothing about my credential that's being stored on the phone. We're only storing a secure token. And what we're doing is transmitting that token to our server for validation. And the other thing that we're doing here is we're rotating through a 4-digit code. Again, this can all be configurable because it's software. This is unlike anything you've seen before. Being in the DC area, a lot of you have been exposed to PIV cards. PIV cards are very, very static. They may have 2 forms of factor of authentication, but they can't find your time, your location, your voice, your face, your iris, behavior patterns, past analysis, all of these different intersections to perform a secure transaction, which actually sort of changes the whole landscape of security. Security used to be multi-factor through explicit transactions. This is the way I like to call it the get smart method, where you have to go through many different doors to get through a lock. We've all seen Mission Impossible. We know how difficult it is to get into the secure room. But imagine simplifying that. We're actually moving up to the door, calculates all the data about you, and opens the door based on knowing an identifiable print of your information that you're getting off. Humans are data beings. We're giving off data every single second of every day. And what this is able to do with the phone technology is actually record everything that's going on. The other thing that we have here is a quick ticketing system that is, and once this updates, maybe I lost it here. Well, I might have lost it on this connection, but we do have a site code which is our actual ticketing system that allows us to show an animated fractal and animated image that cycles every configurable amount of time, let's say every 30 seconds, and can actually identify everybody who's in a particular area. So in the case happens where somebody who's not around is in here and there's an emergency, everybody can raise their phone up and you can quickly identify who's a member of the organization. So it's a great way to identify people and be safe. There's some other things that we're doing. We're collecting a lot of data about this. Now, this is actually meant to be an absolute tracking application, but that's to show the capabilities of what we have. You can turn all of these features on and off per your requirements, but we also want to give you the window into identifying where people are at any given time. One example that we're building is for first responder network, so that you can identify people that are in a certain area and allocate them to a situation. Give them a call, send them a voice back, or even have something like a Google Hangout where you can see video for everybody who's around. Well, I'll just skip through a lot of this other stuff. I mean, we have layers of phone security that are available in all of the phones. You have MDM solutions that allow you to remote wipe your phone. You have passcodes, but also we protect our phones with multi-factor authentication, encryption, also time-changing encryption, and also biometrics. So thank you guys for listening to me for this short amount of time. I appreciate it. If anybody wants to talk to us, we're microstrategy.com. Follow us on Twitter at Microstrategy. Thanks, guys, again.
Cool. Let's get all the first round of presenters up for a quick round of Q&A. Again, raise your hand if you have questions for any of the presenters on the second bench, and we'll go around and answer any questions. All right, cool. So quick Q&A, then 2-minute talk, and then on to the beer.
Hi, my name is Yuri. I just have a cool question about the transit app. Which one of you guys are working on it? So, I'm trying to sort of save Nokia with my own money, and I bought a Nokia phone. It has a pretty good Here transit app. It does a lot of things you showed, except for one thing it doesn't do. It doesn't do real-time tracking, so the DC Metro buses are a GPS system, but it's not part of their transit bus scheduling system. And Nokia app uses a transit system that's pre-scheduled, like months in advance, which actually is never true. Is your app based on GPS data or based on the Metro schedule star RPS? Thanks. Yeah.
We're actually basing ours off of, unfortunately, XBus right now. So we are looking at ways to bypass that, but it's been like 80% reliable so far.
Hi, this
question. This is for Fletcher. Forgive me, I have a head cold right here. How many customers do you have right now, and who are the kind of companies that you're targeting?
Sure. I don't know the exact number. My founder's back there somewhere. He could probably shout it. But we're targeting mainly big brands. So some of our customers include Martha Stewart Living. We also have not even just competitors, but we have the Redskins, the NBA, and they want to be tracking teams and players, and anyone who essentially can't do it on their own without an automated system to help them service what's important.
This is for TrackMaven too. Right now I work for a digital team at a PR agency, but our big thing is we do a lot of tracking on Facebook and Twitter and all the online social media type of things, but we can't get a handle on sentiment. So I don't know if you have something for that, or if you're working on it, I don't for that.
We actually haven't done any sentiment analysis yet. That will be in our future, and I have a little bit of background in terms of rough NLP research, so I'm happy to talk about it later with you.
I actually also have a question about TrackMaven. So being in marketing all the time, one of the big challenges to me when looking at competitors is actually understanding the data that's related to a competitor's website. And usually most of the third-party resources seem pretty unreliable, so I'm curious how you guys qualify the data and where it comes from. Any thoughts on that? Particularly related to like traffic and just things happening on other people's websites.
I'm not quite sure what the question is. It specifically about traffic data from people's websites?
Sure, traffic data or any other things that you track specifically on other people's websites. So for example, I would think that the data that I've seen would say that Google Analytics would be more reliable than like Alexa or ComScore or something like that, but you're using some type of third-party data. I'm just curious what the source is and how you guys are handling that.
Sure, we integrate with Compete and eventually ComScore as well. They're the two leaders in the space in terms of they are, I don't know exactly, but obviously they have their own patents and private technologies, but essentially they're doing random sampling of very, very large samples to get a good idea of the traffic patterns on people's websites. It's true that you need a certain threshold in order to start getting valuable results from that. But again, all the brands we're tracking, we're interested in definitely qualify to meet that threshold. Even a lot of the smaller startups around here are getting enough traffic that we can get a pretty good insight into what's happening on their sites.
All right, so we have one more question for Usher, Social Cooler, or Yopine.
This is for Usher. I didn't quite catch in your presentation, does the product currently exist, or are you still working on it? Have you defined who your primary customers are? And have you had any major sales wins yet? I'm just curious because it looks like it's a really good disruptive technology coming up. And just wanted to know where you were in your development cycle.
Yeah, so currently we've actually released it in GA in our own company. Microstrategy now is completely removed of all our usernames and passwords. We're currently accessing all of our facilities through this current app. All of our guest check-ins are now being emailed a temporary badge that's actually time limited that will allow them to check in and have access to our facilities for only the time that they're on site. And also, we're actually doing some work with 1776 here in DC. Again, one of the reasons why it's very nice for us to be at this Tech Meetup. They've been great to work with, and they're using us for physical access and actually doing some of the co-working solutions for them as well. We have several pilots engaged with varying companies, banks, governments, and also schools a lot, because the demographic is right, tech companies as well. But yeah, it does exist. We do have a version on the App Store. I'm currently updating that, so you feel free to download that and read more about it. And definitely there's much more coming in the more in the recent future. So.
All right. One last big round of applause for this group. All right, home stretch here. We have two rapid-fire quasi-announcements. We are way behind schedule, sorry about that, so we're not going to be able to do a fan crowd pick here for a quick pitch, so we'll say that for next time. So two really quick announcements, and then one after that is going to be where the bar is going to be, so hang tight.
Hi everybody, my name is Yopine, and I'm one of the co-founders of IdeaSpace. So IdeaSpace is a place for thinkers, makers, and doers to come together, learn, be inspired, collaborate, and build. And that part is really interesting to us because everybody here tonight that's been speaking is building something. So, you know, I used a bunch of marketing speak there in describing this, but in conversation, basically, what IdeaSpace is a clubhouse for geeks, present company included. No one takes offense to that. But basically, you know, what we're trying to do is build a place where folks who are interested in technology, entrepreneurship, science, STEM, and STEAM-based programming can get together on a regular basis and exchange ideas, collaborate. And what my partners and I were struggling with when thinking about this concept is, where can we go today?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. May I have your attention, please?
Where can we go to do that? Maybe a library, but you're not supposed to talk to the library and then close early. So, you know, we figured, why don't we try to create this place that's open 24/7, 12 months a year, that you can go and hang out. And this evening is a perfect example of what we're talking about, right? So the folks at iStrategyLabs, the founders of the DC Tech group, have really amassed an amazing audience of following people that are all members of this DC Tech Meetup. And we get to do this, you know, a few times a month and a few times a year. But what if every day, every night, could be like this? So if you get out of work early, or if you happen to take off for the day, and you want to do something other than, you know, stroll through the park, or go to a ball game, or hang out at the bar, but instead go and flex your mental muscle, right? And again, clubhouse for geeks. No tennis courts, no golf clubs, no swimming pool, but what we will have are things that will interest geeks. So what are those things? Well, wearable computing devices, robots, flying drones, 3D printers, laser cutters, hackathons, STEM-based programming, events, classes. And these are events and classes that can be hosted by members, right? Some of it will be planned by IdeaSpace, some of it will be planned by all of you. And then, on top of that, we'll have a collaboration lounge, an event stage, project garages, classrooms, the Maker Lab, metal shop, wood shop, wet lab, electronics station, industrial sewing machines, again, the 3D printers. And these are industrial 3D printers, right? I think what they're doing in the digital commons over there is really awesome. It's more of the desktop grade, consumer grade MakerBot equipment, which is fun if you're interested in getting some early exposure to 3D printing. But if you want to build components for a flying drone or an artificial heart or you know, some wearable computing device, where could you go to do that? The closest thing we can think of is if you were like a postdoctoral student in mechanical or electrical engineering at a university. And that's going to take you lots of prerequisite classes and lots of student tuition dollars to get into the room, the lab that has that equipment, and then even be able to use it, right? So we can all together share the expense of buying all these cool geekish toys, putting them in one place, and have events like tonight 24/7 together at IdeaSpace. And then just one really exciting announcement. So we've kind of been operating in stealth mode, a couple of drips and drabs in marketing, Twitter and Facebook lately. We only released 100 seats. Those sold out in 5 days. There's been a lot of interest in more. So we talked with Peter and DJ here, and we want to give all of you our next 100 seats. So if you go to the website now and you use this DC Tech code, you can be one of the next 100. Get them while they last. All right. Thanks, everyone. IdeaSpace.dc.com.
Right. And finally, so the bar we're going to be going to is Rocket Bar, just a mere 2 blocks away. And right next to that spot is our friends at WeWork about to open up.
Howdy guys, Carl Pierre, probably know me from the Capitol, but I am now Director of DC Operations for WeWork, DC's newest collaborative community workspace. We're actually having an open house tonight. Just come over, sort of next to Rocket Cars, on 87th Street. My business card is taped to the window, text us up. I'll also open up and get you. We'll have free sushi, free beer. So all are welcome. Come out, check the space. Open house.
Can't beat that.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Have a good night. And I think we actually need to be out of here in like 8 minutes, so keep that in mind.